Have you ever wondered the difference between a 10 handicap and a scratch golfer? If so, let's find out. To make things interesting, we'll be doing a challenge that I recommend to any one of my students looking to lower their scores. That's right, we'll be playing from the front tees today. Be sure to watch until the end for our recap where we reveal the biggest differences between a 10 handicap and a scratch golfer and give you the tools to implement this into your own game. First, we will need to see the difference with your own eyes. Pay attention and see if you can spot these key differences yourself. The reason we're playing from the red tees today and why I suggest it to my students is everyone has a scoring barrier. Whether you're trying to break 90, 80, or par, it is often the case that we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and breaking these scores is as much a mental barrier as it is physical. The second reason for trying this exercise is that breaking your scoring barrier relies on creating more scoring opportunities. The easiest way to lower your scores is to hit it further off the tee, and this is a great way to simulate that. Once you try this a few times, you should be able to overcome your obstacle. This comes with a huge relief and opens up your mind to a whole new world of scoring potential. It is not uncommon for players to return to their regular tee decks and break their scoring barrier from that distance shortly after performing this drill. At the very least, it takes away that pressure of coming down the stretch and will forever change your mindset of what kind of a golfer you really are. If you fail to break your barrier from this yardage, it is likely more mental than anything. If you successfully break your barrier, congratulations. You can put your demons to rest and get to work on adding distance to your game. It is a very reasonable goal to add 20, 30, or even 50 yards to your tee shots, which could effectively be the same as moving up 2 or 3 tee decks on any given day. If you're a golfer that's looking to add 20 or 30 or even 50 yards off the tee to effectively lower their scores and are looking for a full-time golf coach, please be sure to comment below or message me on Instagram for more information.
All right, ready for the recap, Colton? We want to talk about the difference between a 10 handicap golfer and a scratch golfer.
Let's do it.
All right, let's reveal the secret. Do you want to go first or me?
Yeah. So just like as you guys have seen, probably the first couple holes here, like there is a little bit of a dramatic difference. Like you can see, I haven't pulled, other than the first hole, I haven't pulled driver. Like I pulled 3-wood on 2, and I hit iron on 3, and you've been hitting a little bit of a bigger club. So maybe just what did you find? Obviously, like ball striking aside, like what did you find was like one of the biggest differences from a playability standpoint, even though we were playing the same tees?
Yeah, so I mean, right away I'm going to look at my swing path is the first thing that I see is just so off here, and I need to get back to doing the drill that we were doing. I wasn't working a lot over the winter, admittedly, so that's what happens, guys. If you don't stick to it, don't continue following the program, even just for a little while, you get off. But good news is I'll be back in no time. It won't take me long, I don't think, to get back. So that swing path is one thing, but I do notice a few things that I think are key differences moving forward. One is definitely I had to take more club than you did. You hit a 3-wood past my driver.
Yeah.
So that's interesting because even if you're taking less club, you're going to be theoretically a little more accurate.
Correct.
And then we'll go right to hole 1, I guess, is really where it starts, right? I mean, I hit it in the trees, which is bad. But the key is I made a bad shot. That's one thing, to hit it in the trees. You hit a few errant shots in this round as well.
Yep.
So that's not the issue. The issue is actually what happened directly afterwards. I grabbed a wedge. I went under the trees to hit my shot. Yeah. I kind of knew it wasn't the right club.
Right.
I should have had maybe a 7-iron.
And you didn't go back.
I didn't go back.
You said, fuck it, I'm just going to grab it. I'm just going to hit it anyway.
Yeah, so if I could say the number one thing I've seen is maybe even just the amount of time. Like I noticed watching the video how much time it took me to hit a putt versus you.
Yeah.
You probably took 3 times more time preparing.
Yeah, I think I obviously took a lot more things into consideration, like rather than just grabbing it, thinking, okay, this is the line I think I want to hit. It's like, okay, I'm taking all the variables into consideration. I'm going through my routine, and then once I get over the ball, it's just full execution, where I think a lot of amateurs will just be like, how far is it? Okay, it's this far, grab a club and let it rip.
And key difference there, he said execution. Once he's over the ball, he's committed. he knows what he's doing. He's not like standing over it for too long thinking about what's going to happen. Like once you're actually on the shot, it happens very quickly.
Very, very quickly.
It's leading up to that preparation, which probably gives you that confidence when you are over the shot to just hit it.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, we're not trying to, like, once you can eliminate one side of the golf course and have a predictable shot shape, it's like, okay, how far, what's the lie like, what's the wind doing, like, where am I at? And then once you've calculated all of the things you need to calculate, it's like, okay, this is what I know I need to hit, and then you can fully commit to doing that. It's not about like guiding shots. Like I hate when I hear guys talk about, I'm just going to hit this soft, or I'm just going to try to guide it out there. It's like, well, no, you should have all the variables set into place and then execute to your full, like aggressively to your spot. It might not be at the pin or in the center of the fairway, but it's like you're executing to a specific spot with full intent rather than trying to like fillet or guide one out there.
This is great because if I knew how to be a scratch golfer, I would be one, right? So I'm just sitting back here listening to your concepts and your philosophies here and trying to absorb as much as I can. And of course, it's a long process, right? It doesn't happen overnight. But I think hanging around with great golfers, or even just having a coach that you could work with, send your swing into Colton every now and then. He's going to see what it is, right? Like you got your swing to that point where you were a scratch golfer. So for those of you at home, if you don't have maybe some pros that are just happen to be your buddies or something, Colton's a great way to get in touch with him, and you can sort of learn from him the same way that I'm learning right now. And that I know a lot of other guys have learned from you also. So that was a bad shot there.
That was, yeah.
I was basically block cutting them a lot. And that was a good approach shot into the green. But I think a big difference between maybe a 10 handicap and a golfer like yourself is after that bad shot, the one coming up, I didn't get into more trouble, but it wasn't excellent.
Correct.
And I see you a lot of the time you get in a bit of trouble. I got a lucky bounce there where it didn't go out of bounds. It bounced on a tree.
And then came back in.
Yeah. You would be able to maybe still make a birdie on that hole from that position.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing. It's like not compounding your mistakes. And if you do make a mistake, it's not about... And you guys will hear us say this all the time. It's not about like how can I force myself to try to make par, or how can I try to make par at the most aggressive way. It's like, how do I not make double or worse? Making bogeys is fine.
Okay.
Like I can live with making a few bogeys around off some, because I'm going to hit bad shots. I'm not going to hit 18 tee shots perfect, 18 putts perfect, and so on and so forth. So I know I'm going to go out there and make some mistakes. But the key here is like, how can I not compound that mistake 2 times in a row?
Right. I think I think one thing that I was looking at was like on the first hole I made a double there, right? And right away a lot of like players might think that they're out of it. And the double's not ideal. If I could have saved better decision making those trees, I could have made it maybe a bogey or a par still.
Sure, absolutely.
And I started off with quite a few bogeys in a row. And but it wasn't detrimental, right? You might feel like you're playing bad and you made 4 bogeys in a row to start the round. Well, you're still just 4 over par because the birdie came eventually.
Absolutely.
And a couple of them
did,
right?
Yeah.
So even if you made like 3 out of 4 bogeys on the first few holes, like don't give up on your round. I actually I'll go out with you guys all the time, and you and Branson and these other players that are well below scratch. They'll go out and bogey a few holes right off the bat.
Oh yeah, all the time.
And then I might even be beating them at that point because maybe I had a good few holes, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, I'm ahead of Branson and Colton, and then you check in 18 holes later, and it's like,
what happened?
You beat me by 10 strokes.
What happened? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not about how you start; it's how you finish, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we're coming up to the. This is we did a 9-hole, little bit of a match kind of like here, and then we're coming up to the last tee shot. And as you guys have probably seen over the course of the last little bit, you guys have noticed that like obviously distance is playing a significant factor. I have less clubs into holes. I'm chipping it when you're almost hitting a full shot.
Yeah. I
took a big lash at driver here on the 9th hole because I knew the green was within reach. I pulled it a little bit, but because of the tree line ending at around 300, I was able to fly it over the trees and still get away with it. And then you hit a good shot here, really, really nice shot here. To put yourself in the fairway, but like I'm almost 100 full yards ahead of you, and you had like 210 yards into the wind here on the shot.
Yeah,
and I'm chipping it from 50 yards.
That was insanely different. And for those of you who are skeptical about this, the biggest difference, which we're going to reveal right now, is the fact that Colton has more options where he can aim the golf ball, right? So generally a hole is going to have parts that are very narrow, and then it's going to have parts that are very wide. And the more distance you have, the more choice you have to go for different parts of the golf hole.
You got it. End it with a birdie. Always good.
Yeah, ending with a birdie here. Well, thanks, guys, for tuning in.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
and we'll see you guys for the next one.
All right, cheers.